Welcome to the lighter side of the dark side. It's your weekly freak show here on Renegade Radio and all podcast catchers, YouTube, wherever you're watching us, listening to us. It's the Dark Mark Show. I am Dark Mark, the goth comedian. And usually I would have Nicole Six, everybody's favorite horror writer, by my side, but she's at a benefit for Iranian women. I'm sure we'll hear about that next week. But who needs a co-host when you've got a guest like this? We have none other than there's all sorts of things, and we're going to get into all sorts of things, but she is the queen of strap-ons and just a great content creator and star in her own right. AVN Award winner, two-time AVN Award winner, and she's doing the fake humility act to us right now. If you can only see what I'm looking at, it's Sinn Sage.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you so much, Sin. I appreciate it. It's funny because I was we were talking about this, and we had a great year last year as far as our podcast, but it was the first year we didn't have really any hardcore porn actresses on, or porn. Yeah. we had Rebecca Love, who used to be a hardcore. I don't know if because you live in Vegas, you probably come across her now and then, but she used to be hardcore. Now she's doing softcore Cinemax stuff. And she does OnlyFans and stuff. So, and we've had, our usual dominatrixes and all sorts of things, but we haven't delved into the Triple X world in a long time. And I'm glad we're starting 2023 off right with you. Well, actually, yeah. we had KCT Girl a couple weeks ago, so we're really getting back into the swing of things.
Okay, well, I'm happy to be a part of this. Of course, I don't know if you can. Well, I'm sure your listeners can't see, but you can see kind of.
Well, no, there's a whole goth motif, and we're going to get into that. And that's, okay. I think, the reason that you were pitched to my show, because we have a lot in common. I actually smeared some guy liner on really badly today. It looks like I used a roller, but just so we can get in the goth mood.
Love it.
Before we get started, I do have to chill for my sponsors, and I'm actually drinking not absinthe as I normally do, but Ray's energy drink, because I've got to keep up with your energy. Ray's energy drink. You can get these. Can't get these at stores or 7-Elevens. You get these at gyms, vitamin shops, GNCs, but why pay full price? If you're watching us on YouTube or listening to us on a podcast catcher, there is a code and a link where you can get 15% off a case of Ray's energy drink. This is actually Baja Lime flavor, which tastes like Baja Blast from Taco Bell, but better because 0 calories, 0 carbs, 0 crash, and all delicious. It's great. They just came out with a ginger ale. They have sour gummy worms, pink bubble gum, all sorts of flavors, pina colada flavor, Ray's energy drink. It's the best. I've tried them all. I tried the Steven Seagal energy drink. I tried the energy drink with horny goat weed. I tried the one that's shaped like a bomb. This is the best. And one more sponsor. And we have Sin, I got to tell you, we have a probably 98% male audience. Not my intention, but that's just the way it worked out. And mainly between 18 and 34. So for any man listening to this podcast who has some problems in the bedroom and they want to fuck like a porn star, Eddie by Giddy is what you need. Eddie by Giddy is a device that you use, and I've seen the reviews, and it works. It gets blood flow where you need it the most. And I've seen the reviews where people use it one time, they're cured. They don't need it anymore. Some people use it sporadically. Some people use it every time, but the fact is they're getting rock hard erections and pleasing their partners. And once again, go in the code on YouTube, go in the code of the podcast catcher. If you're listening to us on Renegade Radio, check us out. Eddie by Giddy. You will get 20% off Eddie by Giddy, and you will never be flaccid again. I'm not flaccid right now, by the way, Sin. How are you?
Oh, good.
Yes. Now, Sin, before we get to your goth past and your upbringing and all of that, and all how you got into porn and all this other stuff, and what you got going on now, how you really transitioned into really you've a lot of trans stuff, which is good, and our audience likes that. But
good.
Oh no, we love it. So, but before we get into that, who deemed you the queen of strap-ons? How did you get that title?
I never said it. It wasn't me. I think we can't really give ourselves these titles, right? They have to just come organically from the fans. And I don't know, somewhere around the time when I started getting like more popular in the late 2000s.
Oh,
Like,
way back when.
yes, y'all.
I remember 2008, and I saw the Queen of Strap-ons. Yeah,
It was around that time, yeah, 2008, probably. Maybe it started, and then just, you know, there. I don't know if you've ever seen my strap-on scenes, but
I did a lot of research, so I've seen some
oh,
strap-on
good.
scenes. Sure,
Oh, good.
you know what you're doing.
Yeah, that there's just something in me that I think you put a strap on a lot of girls, and you just don't see the same kind of
Enthusiasm.
big dick energy.
Oh, you have big dick energy. That's what it is. Okay.
That's what I've been told. Also, someone else, other people tell me this. It wasn't me, but yeah, I kind of just I get it. And like when I put the strap on, it's almost like I like to stroke it a little bit and like look at my hand stroking it. I even like it when the person I'm working with like strokes my cock, like yeah, sucks it, but like strokes it. That like really helps me feel physically connected to the actual cock itself. Like I get sensation kind of like in my clit, like in my vulva, when I like when it's getting stroked and stuff, and then I kind of like make that like mental connection with it. So much of sex is like in the brain anyway. I mean, all of life, every
It's
experience
all in the
we
brain.
have is in the brain. So I just make that connection, and then it's like that's my dick, and this is how um I like to fuck. And I don't know, once the dick is on, I just have like that different like level of energy, and I just go, and like I want to make her feel really good, whoever I'm fucking with the dick, and
Hmm.
all that's just what's important to me. And so I also have a little bit of like gender fluidity, especially when I put the dick on. So
Hmm.
I'm not trying to look like feminine and like girly, like that's not like my goal. And I think a lot of girls like do want to do that when they're on camera, which is totally fine and understandable. But
Wait a second. Women want to look feminine with a strap on? Doesn't that defeat the whole purpose? I thought the whole purpose was
well, what I'm saying is I don't know what it's like for them, but
right.
for me, like that's not a
You're in charge when
concern
you
of
got
mine.
the dick on. That's for sure.
Yeah. I am just like I definitely lean more into my masculinity when I
Hmm.
put the dick on, and just really like embrace that feeling and embrace being able to experience that. And so I don't know. That's what I would guess is the difference. But yeah. So I will say that, when people do tell me that or they say it, it feels really great. And I feel very proud of the work that I do with my dick on. So
You should. You should. You should be proud of the work that you do with your dick on. Now, did you
thank
have to
you.
become the princess of strap-ons before you became a queen, or
No, it pretty much just right
you,
into the reification.
it
So
wasn't like
some
Prince Charles where you had to be prince and then you became
no. In
yeah.
fact, some people call me the king of the strap on too sometimes, and I'm fine with that as
I would
well.
think so. Yeah, I would think so. Well, you've come a long way. You've come a long way from Arcata, California. I almost said Arcadia. Arcata,
It's
California.
actually pronounced Arcata.
So it is
And
Arcata. Okay.
yeah, it's Arcata. So it's not Arcadia. That's in Southern California.
Hmm.
Arcata is in Northern California. It's by Eureka. It's like Humboldt County where they grow all the
Hmm.
weed. Humboldt State
Well,
University.
I was going to get to that. So yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess you were in. That's an interesting place to grow up.
Well, I didn't grow up there. I was born there and I lived there till I was 5. And then my
Okay.
parents moved to Southern California, like the high desert of Southern California, and that's where I grew up. So it's
There's a lot.
about an hour and a half outside of LA. A
There's a,
very small town, a very, very small town.
there's a lot
Mhm.
of weed. There's a lot of weed over there too.
I mean, there's weed everywhere. But it's usually being grown in Northern California because this it's perfect there. It's wet and green and moist.
I don't know how you made weed so sexy, but you just did.
Mm.
So you can make anything sexy. But anyway, I think I may be taking a strap on at the end of the show. I don't know. But both your parents were teachers.
Yeah. English
That's
teachers. So I'm very much a stickler for grammar and spelling and punctuation.
Oh, okay. So you'll be correcting me at some point during the show, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But that's I mean, that's gotta be weird. I know. Yeah. I don't know. Usually I know people that are teachers, but I don't know two teachers that got together. Usually they're fucking the students. I don't know what's going on. How did they?
Definitely not. Yeah. So, well, they met at Humboldt State University. So
Okay.
they were both getting like their English degrees, and then they were not teaching. My dad was maybe substitute teaching and taxi cab driving and doing stuff like that, and my mom was she was the manager of a radio station. And then when we moved to Southern California, it's because my dad did get a job teaching. And then my mom went and got her teaching credentials and she started teaching too. And then actually, like, her dad was also a teacher. And her mom worked at the school district. So it's just a family of educators that I come from.
and there's some strange parallels too, because your husband wasn't a porn star, you were a porn star, and then he became a porn star.
I guess, yeah.
So life repeats itself. Yeah. So whatever.
Yeah, he was not. He was a diesel mechanic when I met him, but has done lots of other things. Very much a jack of all trades.
No pun intended.
Yeah. And we were dating for a couple years, and then I started to want to get into making the custom videos, and I was like, do you want to try camming with me? And he was like, hell yeah, I do. And then I was like, okay, do you want to try being in a movie with me? Okay, do you want to try holding a camera? I can show you how to do it. And just sucked him into my world of awesomeness.
Right. just like your dad did with your mom. I'm going to suck you into the awesomeness that is teaching. Not quite as awesome in my opinion, but
well, definitely the awesomeness of teaching taught me that was something I definitely for sure did not want to do.
Although there is a teaching aspect in some of what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially now that sometimes, I've got my own podcast and I come on a lot of podcasts for various different topics, and I've spoken at university and stuff like that. So making little shifts towards education, sex education and stuff like that as well, comprehension and things like that. So no, I just I'm suited to it somehow a little bit. I never said I would be a bad teacher, just that I saw the life and it's very ungrateful, sort of I was just and the amount my mom worked so much, and she was an inspiration. I mean, she was one of those really, really, really good teachers that had students coming back 20 years later to thank her for the influence that she made on their lives and stuff. So yeah, I've been sort of inspired in that way too. So
if only you could incorporate strap-ons in teaching. And I think maybe that's the answer for all these school shootings and all the problems in the education system. If the teachers had strap-ons, maybe the kids will calm down.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Just throwing it out there. But when you grew up, and now you got all the bats and skulls and all the cool stuff in the background. Yeah. So, and I think, as I said, that's probably why you were pitched to me, or I was pitched to you. You were a goth kid back in the day. You loved
very much
loved your latex. Now, who were you into?
So when I was in high school, I mean, it was Marilyn Manson for sure.
Right.
I made a little binder with I printed out all the lyrics to his songs and all his quotes, and I read his book 7 times and put pictures all over. I mean, you should have seen my bedroom walls. It was almost like wallpaper, the amount of magazine cutouts and posters and stuff. And so, as a teenager, I think our hormones are crazy and we're really, really trying to find our identity. And it was just very wrapped up in Marilyn Manson for me at the time. And it's just sad. It's unfortunate because he's he's a piece of shit. It's really come out. And now we know he's an abuser and he's just a fucked up asshole. but I still appreciate for what it was at the time in my life. Like, I am so
Mhm.
grateful that I got into Marilyn Manson when I did,
Right.
because that influence of like being an individual and finding your own way of being, finding what works for you, and embracing that, and like really not fucking caring what other people think about it.
Right.
That was like a big foundation for
Mhm.
who I am as a person. And so I'm grateful I had that influence, because now it's just like I live the life that I want for
Mhm.
myself. Um, and what makes me happy, because I'm gonna die someday, maybe tomorrow, who knows? And I want to make
Oh,
sure that like I lived the life for me,
right. Right.
and not for like other people's expectations of me.
Sure. Well, you're the queen. You should not live any life, and that's. I can see that. I'm picturing your Marilyn Manson adored wall as we speak. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Well, it's I feel like yeah, I've refined my gothness now.
well, it was a lot better getting into him in 2000 than in 2023. Yeah, that'd be a little weird.
Right. No, no, you can't
But
do
his
it.
and honestly, I think his book, which I don't know how much to credit to him, how much to credit to Neil Strauss, is the best thing he ever
I
did.
know, right?
I think it's better than any of his albums, and I like some of his albums.
Mm,
Not
okay.
not as of late, but I like the
No,
classics. Yeah,
no. The last good album he came out with was Mechanical Animals. The one right after that
exactly.
was okay, but it was
Right.
like it stopped being really awesome at Mechanical Animals. And that was basically I got into him the tail end of Antichrist Superstar,
Hmm.
and my first concert ever, I was 15, and it
Right.
was for Mechanical Animals, and it was
Right.
actually one where he fell on stage and broke his ankle.
I
So
was there. I was
you
there.
were there too? Shut
So
the fuck up.
Marilyn Manson in the hole. I remember that
Yeah, yeah, it
because
was in Inglewood at the
at the Forum.
Forum. Yeah.
Because we were walking down the
Yeah.
street. We were walking down the street, and I wasn't quite as gothed out as I normally would be. This is and everybody, all the locals in Inglewood were freaked out because there's all these weird white people
Totally.
walking around,
Yes.
and they even went up to us because we were like, we weren't so weird, my friend and I, and they're like,
Right.
yo, man, who's playing the Forum? I'm like, it's Marilyn Manson. He's like, Marilyn Manson, that's the devil. And yeah, they were just
Yeah.
all freaked out. They were like hiding in their house. They were shutting the doors and locking them because all these weird white people were
Yes.
walking around.
Yeah. Well, we
And I
were very scary back then.
and, and I remember Hole was really good, and then Marilyn Manson blew him away. And
Yeah. Well,
then
don't forget Monster Magnet.
I didn't see Monster Mag. We didn't
Oh.
see them.
Oh, Monster Magnet started, then it was Hole, then it was
Right.
Marilyn
No, we got
Manson.
in. We got there late, so we got in when Hole
Oh,
started.
okay.
But I
Okay.
didn't give a shit about Monster Magnet, to be honest with you. I like Hole and I like Marilyn Manson. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. At the time, anyways, yeah, it was all
And then
good. Thanks,
cut
Lord,
to
Mother, Mother.
cut to the last time I saw Marilyn Manson, which is probably maybe 10
Yeah.
years ago, which was
Yeah,
they
last
played.
time I saw him was more than I think it was 2006. It was at Ozfest.
Right. Well, they did some festival with them and Slayer, and
Oh, okay.
I took my niece and nephew to see them, and Slayer was great, and Kill Switch Engage. It was like a lot of cool bands.
Yeah, just
And
metal.
it was all metal, and then he comes out. He's wearing like skinny jeans. He's got like muffin top,
Yeah.
and you know. My whole theory on him, and I've talked about it because I know some people that we've had a lot of guests that have some periphery with him,
Right. Oh,
and
sure.
and we'll get off the Marilyn Manson and get more into the strap on. But he, my theory is when Madonna Wayne Gacy left the band,
Yeah.
it's been really bad since. Like
Yeah.
Golden Age of Grotesque was okay,
It
Hollywood
was
was okay,
okay. That
but
one had some cool songs on it.
but after he left,
Yeah.
it was just it was like
Stinkers, dude.
one decent song and a bunch of shit like every album comes up.
Yeah.
So
My theory is more that like when you're a struggling artist, you have this wealth of ideas and concepts and things to make, and you're very creative.
mhm,
And then once you've like hit the big time, I mean, you peaked out, like definitely
right,
Antichrist Superstar was like peak. And then it's like, okay, well, now what are you going to do? What's your next
right,
album going to be
right.
about? And then, you know, on top of the fact that we know that he does copious amounts of cocaine,
Oh
like
sure,
all the time. And I don't think that cocaine is the thing that leads to like really amazing creative expression. I'm sorry to say that it's usually heroin. but then, then those people all end up dying. So it
Well,
sucks. But
I
I'm
think in
just
the
saying that, like,
I
I
think
think
in the short term maybe cocaine helps, but I
he
think
just like
after 10 years, like it's time to
yeah,
switch
this is
drugs.
what I'm saying. Yes.
Yeah.
And just like all his rock star dreams came true. And then it's like, okay, well, what do you sing about now? Like, you
Right.
can't just keep singing about, you can't just keep talking about the same shit you talked about 10, 20 years ago. What are
Right.
you gonna talk about now? I think he just ran out of ideas. And like now he's just pumping out crap that's like a set of 4 lyrics that just repeat over and over and over
Right.
again.
Right.
It's just
Yeah.
on top of the fact of being just a terrible human being. But
Right.
yeah.
So yeah, when he's on stage in skinny jeans with muffin top, like he was skinny and still fat, so it was
I
like
just
weird.
think, yeah, he's like a parody of himself now.
So
Um,
yeah, well, I mean, he had a knife on his microphone and he's doing the Bible, blowing up the Bible and all that. So after
yeah,
45 minutes, my niece and nephew come up to me and they're like, "Yeah, we can go." I'm like,
yeah,
that's pretty sad because I've
unfortunately.
seen him. Saw him when he was good, but what are you gonna do anyway?
Yeah, same.
But you really got into latex and you got into fetish at the time.
Yeah, well, at the time, okay, I will say in high school at the time, I was really into boots, like
Mm,
stripper boots and heels and
mm,
goth boots and stuff like that. I thought that was
mm.
so erotic and yeah, and I just
Did you
was
have like the Frankensteins, the big Frankenstein ones that like the real
yeah.
elevated boots? Yeah.
No, I never had the ones that were like big, thick, like a giant platform. Actually,
Right. Right.
those
Right.
those started came out like more early 2000s.
Hmm.
We are talking late 90s right now.
Okay. So heels then,
They were chunky, gothy
or
boots.
docks.
I did have a pair of Docs, but they were 20 hole, and I didn't really like them that much, to be honest with you. They were very inflexible.
Hmm.
But Hot Topic had like the boots with like the bubble toe and like the
Right.
chunky heel
Oh
and
yeah.
lace up to my knee and like that. Those were fuck yeah. Those are my
Yeah.
favorite boots. Gosh, I still think about those boots. I miss
So,
them.
so hot.
I'm more
So
of a
hot.
Docs girl now. Now I got my 8 hole Docs and
Well,
I love
those will last you like 20 years, but
yes. Yep.
sadly enough, I went to LA Comic Con and they had a Hot Topic display, and I went up to the girl that worked at Hot Topic. I said, "When did Hot Topic stop being goth?" And she looked at me like I was
Um,
telling. She looked at me like I was telling a knock knock joke. She's like, "I don't know. When did Hot Topic stop being goth?" I'm like, "I'm asking you." It was yeah, it was one of those things.
yeah, I think it happened around the when they started selling like the pink and black stuff
Yeah.
and it was emo phase. That's when I think it kind of
Yeah.
stopped being goth. It just you can still find a couple goth things in Hot Topic, but it'll be like two.
Right.
Whereas like when I was in high school, every single piece of clothing was goth, and
Right.
yeah, it was great. That's where I did my back to school shopping.
Of course. And the thing is, now it's the Disney store. It's basically the Disney store,
Yes.
and there's you just got to go over to the Nightmare Before Christmas section. That's all you got.
Yes. Yeah, and even that is like I remember liking it when I was in high school, but then it just became like, oh, okay, this is the trendy thing now. And I'm like, no,
Right.
I just can't even can't even get into it.
Right. And now, have you always been hypersexual?
um, I don't know. What's the
Because
definition of that? How does one define
more
hypersexual?
sexual than the average person.
I don't think I am that, to be honest with you.
Really? Okay.
I'm not hypersexual.
Because I heard a story when you were a little girl, you came across an Easy Rider magazine.
Well, that's kind of how I'd say that's how that was my first introduction to the fact of like pornography existing.
Hmm.
And that's the topic that I bring up with every guest that I have on my podcast. I'm always asking like, so when was the first time that you knew that you were introduced to porn as a thing, like, or erotic entertainment, whatever it might
Right.
be? So, the younger people, they're all like on the internet and stuff. And for me, it was like coming across these magazines and I remember like a friend finding the box of porn out in the desert. Just
I heard
stuff.
I heard that story too. There are boxes of porn in the desert.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got to go to the
Wait,
desert.
I'm like, how old are you? You're like my age, right? Or
Me,
you had
a little older than you. I'm
you
yeah,
didn't find a box of porn in the woods or like wherever the fuck you
no,
were?
I didn't grow up in the woods. That's the thing.
Where
I
did
did.
you grow up?
Well, I grew up all over the country. I grew up in Colorado. I grew up in Florida. Went to high school and college in San Diego.
So
I
only
did.
cities or?
Pretty much, yeah. So I wasn't out in
Oh,
the desert, but I did find my dad's stash of like Wee magazine and stuff like that. But
yeah, yeah. I mean,
I,
that's the thing. When you live in
I
an
don't think he's
area,
gonna. I don't think he's gonna check out this show, so I can say it.
yeah, probably. Yeah, when you live in an area where there is access to woods or bushes or trees or desert or whatever the fuck it might be, your landscape. Back in the day, it's obviously I don't think it happens anymore, but they used to be like, I think it's where people would keep their porn stash, maybe, so their
Like how they
spouses didn't know about it, and then they'd
that,
go back to it. Like,
so like people would drive to the desert to jerk off. Is that? I mean, I don't get this.
yeah. So I grew up in a desert, so you would
Right.
just walk out your door and walk 10 feet, and like you're in the middle of the desert.
Right. And there's
So
porn magazines.
So there are just like lots and lots of dirt roads, and we had these like juniper trees, which are like big bushes. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think people would hide their stash there and then
Right.
probably go to the stash and jerk off in wherever they were, the desert or the woods or whatever, and then go home and be like, okay, well, my wife and kids won't find my porn stash at least. Like, but this is just a theory. I don't
The
know exactly
kids
what
don't
was
know
happening.
about this. The kids don't know anything about this.
Exactly. Yeah.
Uh,
There's a time. It was another era for
the
sure.
magazines. I miss
Yeah.
magazines. I don't even know.
I do too.
I don't even know if Easy Rider's still published.
I don't either.
It was weird. I was in Beverly Hills today, and they actually have a newsstand. I'm like, I haven't seen a newsstand
Yeah.
in years. I used to go to the newsstand and just waste hours there.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
they still have those in LA.
these kids, they don't know. They don't know that it's
They'll never know.
yeah. You
They'll
can
never know the
hold it in your
joy.
hand. They don't. Yeah,
Yeah.
the joy of flipping pages with one hand, and
Yeah, I will say, like, I got my hands on a lesbian hustler magazine probably when I was about 17.
Mhm.
And I loved that. And there's something about just like looking at the photos, like they were just about to make contact, and like that was really hot, and like you could play out the rest of what was happening like in your mind,
Right.
instead of just watching a video. There it all is for you. And
Right.
yeah, that was cool. That was a cool
No,
time. They'll never know. They'll never know the joy of that.
you get to use your imagination. No, I'm like that. I jerk off to Lifetime movies. I dig this. I dig that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
from what I understand, now you actually had to convince somebody to have sex with you, and that's how you lost your virginity.
Yeah, virginity is such a stupid patriarchal concept.
Mhm.
And I also don't like saying that I lost it. Like, I know where it went.
I apologize. I didn't mean to- yes.
That's okay. It's just like the common terminology, right?
What terminology would you prefer? Because I know
I would just say the first time I had sex.
first time you had sex. See, I told you would be correcting me during the show, so here you go. First
That's
time you had
okay.
sex.
Yeah, the first time I had sex, I was just really, because like I said, I don't know, I wasn't. Well, I felt hypersexual when I was, puberty,
Mhm.
and shortly thereafter, and but I didn't do a lot of sexual things. Like I wasn't hooking up with people. I didn't have. So I had sex when I was 15, but I did. It was a guy who was 18. I was very, very attracted to him,
Mhm.
but he had my mom as a teacher, and so he was like, I just wouldn't feel good about it. And like, he was having like a moral quandary with the concept of having sex with his teacher's daughter, which made no fucking sense to me. I was like,
Right.
I'm a person, damn it. And so, yeah, I was just like, listen, I just think that you're cute and I like you. And I kind of just want to get this thing over with. And, I want to just have it. I want to do it. And
Mhm.
like, he was very, yeah, just, we flirted all the time. So
Right.
I'm sure it wasn't that he didn't want to. It was just
Mhm.
like, I think he was just uncomfortable about it. And, he was also a kid. I mean, he was 18 and I was
I was
15.
gonna say, was it the statutory rape aspect, or
No, oh, I don't think so.
I don't know.
And especially like, that wasn't a concern.
Did you want to fuck your mother? I mean, I don't get the concern.
Maybe, I can't
yeah.
say that.
Maybe,
But yeah, so I just pretty much was like, this is what I want. Like, please, can we do this? And yeah, he came over, and then we stopped at 7-Eleven on the way back to his place. And of course, we're talking like these are long drives because they're in the middle of
Yeah.
the fucking desert.
Right.
And he stopped at 7-Eleven and he was like, "Well, I don't have any condoms." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm supposed to pay for them. Okay." And I did. I gave him the money, and he went and got them. And then he was like, "Oh, why did they give me unlubricated?" And my 15-year-old asked, like, I was like, "Whoa, what does that even mean?" And long story short, it was not good at all.
Hmm.
And it was just very awkward. And it was hot. We were like the trailer he lived in, like the back of his parents' house. And it
This
was like
sounds
1,000,000 degrees. This was like June, like May or June. So it was super hot.
this just gets more and more romantic the more you go
It
on.
wasn't.
He
Yeah.
passive aggressively made you pay for the condoms, and
Do
you went
you
back
think
to his
that that
trailer.
was what was happening? Wow, I never even looked at it like that.
He
Yeah,
probably was
probably.
broke, and yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
All those things. Yeah, but now, like I'm almost 40. Like I'm not mad at him
Right.
or anything about the situation. I was a
Right.
curious person. I wanted it to happen, and like there were no other boys at my school that I was even attracted enough to think of having sex with
Hmm.
besides him. So
Right.
that was just why I think I like went after him. And then yeah, I swear to God, he kind of just like moved around on top of me for a while. And I just was kind of like, this is sex. And looking back, I thought he just had like a small penis, but now I think he probably wasn't even very hard. Maybe a
Right.
combination, I don't know, but
Hmm.
I didn't really feel anything happening. Yeah, like it was easy. Like it wasn't
Oh yeah.
tough or painful at all. And then he just kind of moved around for a while on top of me, and then just reached this point where he was like, and I'm spent. uh, I don't think an orgasm occurred, and the condom did come off at one point inside of me.
Hmm.
It was just so bizarre. And then I remember leaving that situation and being like, that's fucking sex. Like that's what all of this hype and buildup was. Holy shit, how disappointing. um and so then I was 17 when I actually had sex with someone that like we had feelings for each other,
Hmm.
and attraction to each other. And that was, having sex with someone for the first time that you actually have like feelings for.
Right.
I was like, oh, that's what sex is.
Right.
Or like that's what it's supposed to feel like,
Right.
initially. That's how it can be good,
Right.
especially
Right.
if you're first time. So that was amazing. And yeah, we had
Well,
some
it's a
good times.
quote.
And then he broke my heart.
Mm. Well, it's a quote Prince, the first time ain't the greatest. But and to be fair to that guy, the first time I had sex, I didn't come either.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No, it was.
it's
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. It was definitely not his first time having sex.
No, I know, but it was my first
Okay.
time, and I'm just saying, not every sex ends in orgasm for the man.
Totally. I talk about that.
I've heard you talk about that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, on the scene or in porno, something has to happen. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, so I've
Well,
heard
you're making entertainment. That's different.
yeah, well, that's true. And speaking of entertainment, now this is the greatest story. I think I was very I really want to hear more about this because I've been to AVN. You were an AVN Award winner, but you were making like fetish videos. You went to AVN. Basically, usually people make porn movies, then they go to the AVN. You went to AVN, then you made porno movies. If I have this timeline right?
I think so I got into sex work right away, but I didn't just like various things happened in my life, it didn't really start panning out until I was 19 and I started dancing at the strip club.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was working there for a few months, and I met this girl, and she was like, "Oh yeah, my boyfriend's making me a website." This is the year 2003, by the way.
Right.
Well, actually, it was 2002 that I met this girl, and I was like, "Oh, really? Like your boyfriend makes websites? I've always wanted like this is what I want, a website."
Right. And kids, you got to look up some 2002 websites. Those are pretty funny to look at.
Yeah. And so I had literally just turned 19. So I was still a very, very young person. And she's like, "Oh, really? Well, he'll hook you up." And that's how I met probably the most cruel and deplorable human being that I've ever met on this planet. Like probably the worst example of how horrible a person can be
Marilyn Manson?
with her boyfriend.
Oh,
No,
no.
this guy,
Oh,
like,
okay.
believe it or not, he was worse.
Okay.
But he did, like, sort of pull me into this fold of trying to make content and get hired for scenes and bookings and things like this.
Mhm.
So they took me to AVN in 2003, and from there, like, I had these little shitty business cards printed up, and I was just giving out cards and trying to get jobs to get booked to do scenes and just work in porn, whatever, fetish. It didn't
Mhm.
matter. It's all the same to me.
Right.
And yeah, so did that, passed out cards and whatnot, and then, like, came home from that and started getting some phone calls, some emails. I also had put profiles on old sites like One Model Place or the back of city magazines. Like, there'd sometimes be ads
Oh,
for
yeah.
models who are willing to do nudity, age 18 to 50, stuff like that. So I was answering those, just trying to, like, get photo shoots
The
and things.
LA Connection, yeah, those type of things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
LA Weekly, OC Weekly, stuff like that.
Right.
And then so yeah, so I was still mainly stripping to make an income for
Mhm.
and until probably around 2007, but I did start getting bookings for porn and fetish.
Mhm.
Yeah, all of it.
Well,
Still do all of it. I still do everything that is, within my boundaries, which is just I don't do anal and I don't do a boy girl unless it's with
right.
my partner. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And we're gonna get to that, but it's an amazing story because 10 years later in 2013, you win Best Girl sex scene.
Yeah, it was my
Like to the
first AVN
day.
award. And I have to say too, that, like, when I won that award, like, I've been going to AVN and I've been seeing who's getting nominated and who's winning, and I'm just like, okay, people like me do not get these things. I
Now,
just was convinced,
now
like,
what do you mean by that? People like you.
um, I
Hot
mean,
girls, they get awards.
well, I don't have any surgical enhancements.
Mhm.
And I also didn't do boy girl. And
Right.
so, they didn't even used to have a category for, so 2013 I won Best Girl Scene, but 2015 I won All Girl Performer of the Year,
Right.
and 2014 was the first year they had that even as a category.
Right.
So if you only did girl, you just weren't getting attention and
Mhm.
accolades and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
that's kind of how I felt like when I say that now, even, or at the time, it was just like, I am not that type of porn star.
Mhm. Right.
And so I just didn't think that I was the thing that would ever win. And then I did this amazing scene with Danny Daniels, and her star was kind of rising at that time quite
Mhm.
a bit. The movie that the scene we won for was her first boy girl movie.
Right.
So that was like a big deal. Like, all the other scenes had boy girl, but I was the girl scene, and she chose me. She, like, hand picked me to be her partner for that scene, and
Right.
um it was incredible. As soon as we finished the scene, I said out loud, I was like, if I was ever going to win an AVN award, that this scene would be it. And then what do you know? It fucking happened. I was totally taken by absolute surprise. I was shocked, really. Yeah.
It's so weird with the AVN Awards because I mean we've had porn stars from on the show from Ginger Lynn. I mean we've had classic to
Yeah.
the newer women and you've been around for a while, but I mean
Yeah.
they used to have movies. They used to show movies in the movie theater. Then they
Yeah.
had
I know. Yeah.
videos and I guess they still do full length movies, but it's
Oh
mostly
yeah,
scenes.
totally.
Yeah.
No, yeah. We still do full length movies for sure.
But
Yeah.
that's not really the focus, though. I mean, that's like, I mean, everybody
Well,
really kind of does scenes, or they splice together scenes and try to make a movie out of it.
well, that's
You
what
know,
I do, but I just
but,
have, like, I'll take 4 clips and I'm like, oh, these have a theme that connects them, and I'm put
right?
them together, and now I have a movie.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I'm looking over your list on your website. Some of my
yeah.
favorite, Ass Parade 36, Harry and Shave Muff Divers. I love just reading porn titles. It's the greatest. Let me see.
Those aren't mine, are they?
They're on your website, so I don't know.
Well, no, on my website.
On your website, sin-sage.com.
Oh, okay. Well,
These are all
I don't recall either of those titles.
Eat Me Out, Electro Sluts.
Yeah, Electro Sluts, that's kink.com.
Okay.
The Eat Me Out thing, that was actually a Joanna Angel movie.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Jerk off instructions. I mean, you know, I
Yeah,
don't
like
know.
that's web stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So these are all on your website. So anyway,
Okay.
I just like to read those. But anyway, so but yeah, I mean, 10 years later, I mean, you know, when you got there, like, did you think 10 years later you'd be accepting an award?
Oh, hell fucking no. No way.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No.
So
I didn't expect any of that to happen.
right.
I
So,
like I didn't, you know, when I first got into the business, I just wanted to do what I wanted to do.
mhm.
I didn't even consider like a future.
Right.
And then as the years went by, it just became something that I was like trying to find ways to make it something that would sustain me into the future. And
Right.
yeah, so here I am now.
It's an inspirational story. Now,
Yeah.
this is the thing. There's two things that people I come across because every time last time I was at AVN, I was with my girlfriend who was a webcam girl at the time, and I had a friend that I knew. He's like, "Can you get me in?" So I got him in, and he couldn't believe that we were just talking to people. Like he worshipped these, you know, all of these actresses so much. And he was just like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you actually talked to them. Like they're human beings." But
Yeah.
what the misunderstanding of porn, there's two things. A, most, you know, and there's dumb people in every profession, but
Yeah.
most adult film people that I've talked to, especially talents,
Yeah.
I've talked to some morons behind the scenes, but
Yeah.
talents are very, very intelligent as you are.
Thank you.
I mean, it's just it comes across. You know, I've interviewed Ella Darling, who I think is a genius,
Oh,
and I said
my
that.
favorite. She's my, yeah, very
She's my.
close friend.
I love Ella, and the next time
Yeah.
you say, next time you see her,
Yeah,
say
she's
hi.
got a doctorate or library sciences or master's degree.
Like she's one of the smartest people I've ever met, and I asked her,
Yeah.
I'm like, you know, why? I mean, why do you think that is? Why do you think, you know, the you know the trope is that it's, you know, some dumb girl that has no other options, but the reality
Yeah.
is these are smart girls that have options. They just want to fuck, or they
Well,
want to make a living doing that.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it's more, you know, almost from like a there well, there's a lot of things. I think we kind of see, you know, intelligent people can kind of see capitalism for what it is.
Hmm.
And sort of like the grind and almost like the pointlessness of sort of being like a tethered to a job where you don't have the freedom over your own life,
Right.
and also you don't reap the benefits of the labor that you do.
Hmm.
And so for me, I know that the freedom aspect of it was huge, like even just from the beginning, like getting into the work. You know, I was working at the Olive Garden, and that was a great job. I mean, I liked it, but I wasn't
I don't
making
know if I would consider Olive Garden a great job. It's an okay job. It pays good, I'm sure.
I think that serving,
I waited tables, and it was awful when
yeah,
I did
like
it.
waiting tables or being a like a bartender or service industry like that, where you can make tips. That's a
Right.
job where you can actually you know, versus like minimum wage or something like that. It's like you can actually sustain yourself, you can like pay rent and stuff like
Sure.
that. So
And
and
I'm assuming you got more tips than I did.
I didn't do that well, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay.
But you know, I when I say, you know, working at the Olive Garden was a great job, I was 18 years old and I enjoyed it. It
Yeah.
was nice. It was fun. I liked it. But you know, then I couldn't save money up.
Hmm.
And I was living in Desert Hot Springs, which is kind of like a ghetto-y sort of area of Palm Springs,
Hmm.
and I know we wanted to live a little bit closer to LA in a nicer neighborhood. And you know, I just like, I'm going to the strip club and I'm going to try dancing because that's what I wanted to do for so long. And I
Hmm.
went, and the first 3 nights I worked, a Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, I made $1,000. And that was like a month of working at the Olive Garden for
Right.
me. So I was just like, what,
Mm.
huh? Like I get to come here, put on a sexy bikini and walk around and shake my ass and be flirty. And I get paid hundreds of dollars for this.
Right.
And
Right.
like, why would I not do this? Like for me, like for me in my life and who I am as a person, like
Yeah.
I was just like, this is great and this is what I want. And so then like
It
so,
sure beats.
so there's
It sure beats. Keep coming. Running back and forth because somebody wants extra breadsticks. So sure,
yeah, I mean
the
that's
never-ending
fine
cost of
too.
all, and yeah,
I don't like to, I don't want to like shame people or look down on
Well,
certain
I'm not shaming
professions,
anybody
but
who wait tables. Anybody who waits
yeah,
tables, that's some of the hardest work anybody will ever do, and I
yeah,
admire
yeah,
that.
totally. But for me, it was just that like I've always just been this really independent spirit. I mean, even as a
Mhm.
kid growing up, child, whatever, it was like I want to do my thing and I don't really want other people telling me how to do it or what I can do.
Mhm.
So when it was just clear that like that's what sex work affords you, that's just from I was like this is for me. Like this is just
Sure.
in my nature. I am a sex worker and so I think there is a certain level of thought that goes into that and making that decision. And then nowadays, like the past 10, 15 years, it's really like you're also a business person. The past 10 years for sure. It's like
Right.
I'm not like before, I was doing a lot of porn and getting paid a performance fee, and that was nice. And then, I go home and I could just do a puzzle or read a book or whatever I wanted to do. Um, since I started doing my own productions, that's where it's a lot of work and it's marketing and just
This
I
was
can't
my.
even get into the list. It's so many things, and
I know it is. Yeah.
you have to have a level of some kind of savviness, some kind of intelligence to just like understand how to keep it all going and how to reach the people you want to reach and
Hmm.
how to like make your brand and stuff like that. Like
Right.
that's all stuff that requires a lot of thought and yeah, motivation and a little bit of ambition, I guess. And like,
Well, a lot of work, but that's the other thing. That's the other misconceptions. People are like, oh, it's just easy. They're just fucking or whatever. But
yeah,
it's so much
so
work.
annoying.
It's so much work. Well,
Yeah.
I'm a stand-up comedian, and Eddie Griffin had a great quote. He said, "The hour that I'm on stage is the easiest hour of my day.
Oh
The
my
rest,
god,
the
that's
rest of it, I got to
exactly what
work."
I say all the time. I'm like the
Uh,
part where I get to go perform on camera. That is the easiest part and the most fun part.
mhm.
That's what I love doing.
Right.
Uh, the rest of the job is the bulk of the job, and
Right.
that's like sitting at the computer for hours and hours and hours and just like organizing things and I'm not great at organizing things, so often it's just like a bunch of shit in my head and I'm like trying to keep track of it all and
Hmm.
yeah, so all that, and I do think there's something about something about sex work in general that there are there's two sides of it kind of. I mean, there's many sides of it, but like there's the side where it is sort of uh the only economically viable option, or someone is in a state of basically desperation. That's one side of it. But the other side of it is that it's like a choice, like a conscientious choice that is
Hmm.
being made on the part of some of a sex worker who is like, I see how this world works, and like this is the choice I'm making for
Hmm.
myself. And so that does require someone who has a different kind of like philosophy on life.
Hmm. And you also strict boundaries because, like I said, you don't do anal.
Well, I can't. I've tried. Can't do
Oh,
it.
okay. Really? Okay. All right. Well, all right. Enough said. Okay, that makes
I mean,
sense.
I wish I could, man. I'd have a better paycheck for sure, but
Right. But I mean, I mean, you've given anal, but you don't take it, or have you given? Yeah, I was going to say,
oh yeah, I give anal.
I thought I saw you giving anal. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, yeah. I have a movie I came out with, Strap on Sinners 2
Hmm.
Anal Edition. So
Ah, okay. I don't think I saw the anal edition. I'll have to do that. But so that's why that is. And then the other hard line is you don't except for your husband, who is it Derek Manowar? I know Manowar is in
no,
there. No,
it's
what is it?
Drake.
Drake Man-of-War. I'm sorry. I knew it was
Okay.
a D. I apologize. Please, Mr. Man-of-War, please forgive me. But I'm actually gonna say something very nice about him because I heard you on the podcast talk about him, and you said that he had a nice dick. So I was
Oh my
curious.
god, that's amazing.
Please tell me. Define nice dick. Is just big or what? I don't think I
So
take a good look.
it's for me, it's perfect. So it is 8 inches,
Okay,
and it is
that's
like
pretty big.
basically just like the ideal thickness. Like it's not so thick that it's painful to push it in. Like it's
Hmm.
but you do feel filled. And it gets very hard perfectly every time that we want it to be.
Hmm.
It works amazingly as long as it needs to. When he comes, it's this big load. It
Hmm.
shoots out, and it's perfectly straight. The head is proportionate to the shaft. Like, I mean, it's like if they made a statue, a dildo of a perfect cock, like that's it. And I
Okay.
actually do have a dildo. It's called the First Mate, and it is remarkably similar to his cock. So it's
Okay.
my favorite, and I call it my cock. It's the, I like to let partners choose which cock they want me to put in my harness, but like I
Right.
always hope that they're okay with that one because that's the one I identify the most with. And so when we do a threesome where like I have my strap on and then he's got his cock, which we made a whole movie about this.
So you both have the same cock,
Yeah,
basically.
Finn and
Okay.
Drake's strap-on threesomes.
Ah,
And so we are both like basically fucking with the same cock, and like it's just really hot.
I can imagine. I was just curious because I've heard like, oh, big dick or whatever, and I don't mean to brag, but somebody told me I had a perfectly shaped penis, and then said
Nice thing.
it looks like it's never been used. So that's just one of those things. But I was wondering what a nice cock was, and now that I know it's perfectly straight, you don't want those boomerangs or anything like that. And
I mean, listen again. I don't want to dick shame anyone.
no, but
So I don't even like using the word perfect, but
perfect for you.
for me, yeah, definitely for me. And
Yes,
but for me, like it's not, you know, my sexuality it's
it's
interesting.
fluid. Obviously, it's fluid. Obviously.
Yeah, definitely fluid, and I feel like, I guess I can't speak for everyone, but like peaks and valleys and waves and things over the course of my life,
Hmm.
with regards to the things I'm attracted to and when. So the easiest thing to say would be bisexual. I prefer queer,
Hmm.
um, but I'm just like the ways I'm attracted to women and the ways I'm attracted to men. They're just different, and
Well, how
like
so?
relationships.
How so?
Like, I kind of think that I'm a little bit more, you call it like demisexual towards men.
Hmm.
Like I just don't want to just fuck a guy because there he is, kind
Hmm.
of, or thinking about like doing guys in
I hear
porn.
that a lot, by the way.
Yeah, like thinking about guys in porn. Just being like showing up on a set and being like, "Hi, here's the guy you're gonna fuck in a scene." I think I would struggle with that.
Right.
Um,
Have you been offered a lot of money to be with men? I would
Actually,
imagine.
no.
No.
No one's ever came to me and been like, "Okay, we'll give you 40 grand if you do a scene with a guy." Like, I know some other girl performers who have had those offers. Like, I never have, but
Would you take
and
it?
like, would I do it? 40 grand? I think I'd be kind of stupid not to.
All right.
I mean,
Well,
like,
let me
we've
check.
all got our
Let me check my
prices.
bank. Let me check my bank account. And okay.
I mean, we've all got our price.
Okay.
Like, I think even if I went to my partner and I was like, "Okay, here's the offer. What do you think about this?" Like, like, there's just 40 grand, 50 grand, like
Okay.
that
40, 50.
that'd be like a really nice boost for my life. So,
Mm-hmm. No, I got it. Okay.
to do the one thing and then just move on. And yeah, money is money. Like,
Right.
I'm pragmatic.
Unfortunately, I'm a little short, but but here's the question now. If that's the case, you're fluid and you're demisexual with men. How are you with women?
With women, I'm like homosexual.
Hmm.
uh,
it's all lust.
I feel well, I can't say it's all lust. I mean, like I feel
You get emotionally attached.
no, no.
Okay.
But I there are definitely certain performers who I've gotten to know on a personal level. Like Ella being one of them,
Hmm.
and I just have, or like Lily LeBeau being another one, or
Sure.
there's a few,
Hmm.
especially here in Vegas now. We've lived here for 4 years. Like I have a lot of affection for many of the women that I've worked with, So yeah, like affection and care and things like that, but not and even like a touch of romance, but not in a way of like I want to be in a relationship with you.
Right.
And also I just am not a poly person. Like we're kind of we have like an openness to our relationship, but
Hmm.
it's primarily like us together with other people.
Right.
But I just don't have romantic feelings for more than one person at a time is the main thing. And so all of my romantic energy is uh for my partner who I just love more than I could even put into words.
Okay. All right. Well, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah. So you never had. I mean, from what I've gathered about you from certain podcasts I've listened to, you were in a long term relationship, and then in
I
this
was.
relationship, but you never have you ever had a relationship with a woman that's lasted a while? I mean,
You know,
off screen.
yeah, when I was in high school, the first person I really fell in love with was my girlfriend.
Hmm.
But we were only well, we were kind of like together in just the sense that we were best friends for a
Hmm.
couple years. But then I was like crushing hard on her. It
Hmm.
was like hard to put words to that at the time, I think,
Right.
until there was this. Yeah, I liked her a lot. I really wanted to be with her, not just be her best friend. And there was a night that we finally got drunk and we started making out, and she was just like, "Oh, I've wanted this for so long," and I was just like so surprised because I was like,
Hmm.
"What? I've wanted this for so long." And so then we did end up dating for about 3 months, and then
Okay.
she ended it, and it definitely broke my heart. It was really
Mm,
tough. But
that's
yeah. So,
sorry to hear that.
I'd say like for high school, like that was a long relationship, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I just, but well, this
And
begs a, I mean,
after
this,
that, I didn't like, no.
well, it seems to explain why you got married because I know people that are in they don't state it or maybe they do or they don't that the woman can fuck any woman that she wants, but the guy can't. Is that
Mm,
your relationship? Or I mean, I know you when you do it together, but
yeah, we do it together. So
right, but
I guess I kind of feel like, if you like with the amount of women that my partner is able to penetrate,
mhm,
um, with me there,
right.
if he also then went and felt like he needed to go do that outside of our relationship without me there,
Mhm.
um, and did it without telling me, I would definitely be a little surprised.
Right. Okay.
uh,
Okay.
but we've both talked about this at length with each other, and it's just that, you know, with the level of connection that we have,
Mhm.
if a discretion happened like that on either of our parts, I don't think that it would be worth killing our relationship and what we have over. You
No.
know, I think that we would talk about it and we'd be like, okay, we need to figure out why this happened in such a way that like you didn't tell me about it or you felt
Mhm.
you had to hide it. Because I feel like the issues, like if someone cheats, the issue is not just I needed to get laid or something
Right.
like that. There's
Right.
other things going on. And I'd be like, we need to figure out like what is broken in our relationship right now that
Mhm.
this is what ended up happening. If it was like something very serious like that. But again, it's just like there's so much like we both have so much freedom that it just
Right.
seems like it would be like thrown, really like spitting in the face of something that was already such a
Right.
gift, and I think we both feel that. So,
Well,
but yeah, like if
in some respects it's healthier
it
because
is,
you're getting
I know it is.
yeah. I mean, it sounds to me. I mean, because I know people that tried it and it didn't work. I know people that tried it that it did work. I know people that are swingers and it didn't work. I know people that are swingers that does work.
Yeah. I
So
mean, when a monogamous relationship ends, it's not like, oh, well, I guess monogamous relationships, they're all messed up, but like
so
people,
some people say that though.
But like people say that if, if you're in a poly relationship or an open relationship or whatever, and then that ends, it's like, oh, well, see, because you were poly, that's why, or whatever the case is, and it's just like, none of this stuff is like black and white, fitted in the box. This is how things are.
Right.
And I think like, in a lot of ways, a betrayal can be an opportunity to make a relationship better.
Right.
So, I just try to look at things through that more open lens of understanding. Like it's just the understanding that matters more than like the physical thing that happened.
Right.
And I do very strongly feel that like we don't, I'm an individual person and so is my husband. Like, I don't own him. I don't own his fantasies or his mind or his body. So, it's not my decision to make like who he fucks and when.
Right.
But I do think that's like a choice that we make every day. I know it's one that I make. Like I choose to not, sleep with other dudes, and that's just a choice that I make every day. Like
Right.
I'm not really interested in it. And then like, if he is interested in having sex with another woman, it's like, let's talk about it. How can
Right.
we make this work for both of us and make it okay?
Right.
But yeah, like I've, definitely, if I have an opportunity to be with a woman off camera, I usually take it because it doesn't happen very often. Yeah, it just doesn't happen very often.
All right. No, I understand. Okay.
And, that is something that he is okay with,
Right.
historically.
Now, do you use a strap on him? Does that happen, or is that too
No.
personal? No. Okay. All right.
No, it's not too personal. It's just
Okay.
no, he does not.
Just curious.
I actually I don't strap on men in general.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
like I'm not attracted to men's butts and assholes in general. So
Oh, who is? I mean, I guess some people are.
so
But...
lots of people.
Okay. All right.
Just not me.
Okay. Well, fair enough. Now, let's get to what people are attracted to, because, like I
Okay.
said, you sort of, and I guess you still do a lot of fetish stuff and
Yeah.
a lot of foot stuff.
Actually, no. Shockingly, no.
Really, but didn't
No.
you start out like doing some foot stuff?
I mean, I'll do foot stuff whenever someone wants foot stuff. I wish I had more foot fans.
Really?
Yeah, because
Are your
like
feet cute? I mean, I've seen your feet, but
I
I
think
didn't
they
really.
are, and well, I always hold it up that Belladonna, who is a massive foot fetishist, or at least she was,
Mhm.
she always told me that I had her perfect feet. Like if she could choose and design perfect feet, they would be
Okay.
mine. So that's my like claim to foot fame there. So, but her saying that always made me so curious, like why I don't get a lot of like customs for foot stuff, or when I do have foot stuff and sell it on my clips for sale stores,
Mhm.
that just doesn't sell that well. Like I don't
Hmm.
know. That was never my big thing, I guess.
All right.
Much as I would want it to be, it's just not.
Right. But and if I have this correct, I mean, you started out kind of subby, and now you're definitely more dommy. And
Yeah,
you started out doing
definitely.
what I didn't know was I mean, I guess I heard about it a little bit, but chloroform. Now, I'm not king shaming anybody, but that's not my thing at all.
Yeah.
But
I try to understand the fetishes that I do, or the custom videos that get ordered. I try to sort of get into the psychology of it a little bit and figure out like
I
what
sort of
is,
get it, but
yeah,
it's
like
so
what is the sexy part of this. Yeah, so actually that was like one of the first shoots I ever did, was like for a site that did chloroform, and so it's like usually it's called sleepy fetish, the chloroform. It could also be you get knocked on the head, or like there's a gas, or you take a drink.
well, like a
Um,
caveman, like Fred Flintstone, they bonk you on the head, and you know.
yeah. I mean, it's just so interesting, like because to me this is so normal. Like this is just my life.
Oh, I know, and this is why I love talk. I mean, we've got DOMs. We have, in our show
Yeah,
we talk about it a lot, but it's just, yeah. This is a new one on me. I mean, I had,
really.
I had somebody smother me, but I've had all
Hmm.
sorts of things, but
His
yeah,
mother is part of it too. Yeah, that's
I
part of
mean,
the fetish.
choking and all this other stuff, but yeah, chloroform.
Yeah,
I mean,
choking.
I knew it's out there, but I didn't. I guess I never really thought about it until I started getting into you and researching,
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff. I'm like, chloroform. That's okay. That's not my thing, but I don't
Well,
keep shaming anybody. But
yeah, totally. The unfortunate thing about some of these kinks is that the credit card companies that basically like rule our lives have decided that that stuff is I guess when there's not even necessarily nudity in some of this chloroform fetish
Sure.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if I think I made a custom with chloroform stuff the other night.
Hmm.
There was barely nudity in it. That wasn't the focus of the video. And it was just her being knocked out and then take off her clothes and then wrap her up in it was like a sheet, but the idea was like a sack. So she's in a sack. And I just like rub on her in the sack and I tease her and I like grope her boobs and butt. And like that's the video and that's what this person wanted. And like
Hmm.
if I want to sell it on my clip store, I'm gonna have to cut out the parts that had the chloroform in it.
Right.
But to me this is just such like a benign, playful almost fetish. Like,
Right. Right.
and knowing some of the fetishists who have ordered these types of videos, it's like they don't want anyone to be even hurt, really. Like
Oh, sure. Yeah.
that's not what the fetish is for them. But
Now,
the
what is it? What is the fetish?
misunderstanding.
What is the fetish? Just a power thing, or what do you think it is?
No, I don't even think it's a power thing. I think it's like it's the eyes. I think a lot of it is like the fluttering of the eyes. The rolling of the eyes is huge. Like rolling up like this to where you can kind of only see like the whites of the eyes. I think and then also like when someone is out and their body is limp, like
Hmm.
lifting
The
and
limpness.
flopping,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think that that's just for some people it just hits that trigger in their brain. It's sensual, kind of soft, uh sexy. Maybe it could be related to like a Sleeping Beauty, Snow White kind of thing from childhood. Like, I mean,
Hmm.
there's just so many theories you could get into
Right.
of what exactly it is. But to me, it's so harmless. And same thing with hypno fetish,
Oh,
where
I
it's
wanted to get into this. Yeah, I really want to
yeah,
get into this.
and it's just you're sitting there, you're pretending like you're getting hypnotized, and then you're hypnotized, and now they're telling you like, I command you to take off your shirt and play with your titties, and you go,
Hmm.
yes master. And it's just like a robotic thing. And so what frustrates me is that I can't make videos like that and sell them in my clip stores.
Hmm.
um, but if I was making a movie and selling it to Hollywood or something, that's all totally fine. I can have
Right.
murder, I can have blood and guts, I can have,
Hmm.
all of this horrific shit happening, which, by the way, I love horror films. So to me,
Sure.
it's not horrific. I think it's fucking great.
Yeah.
But my point is just that, like, only because of the fact that it's being sold on a site that is intended for eroticism,
Hmm.
that makes it against the rules. And like, we
Right.
can't do it. I can't say the word hypno. I can't have a
Mm.
chloroform rag. I can't say the word chloroform.
Mm.
Um, if someone is knocked out, like then I can't take their clothes off,
Mhm.
or like I have to show them awake at the end of it. So if we're doing wrestling stuff and then they are meant to be getting like knocked out over and over again, the video can't end with them still being out. Like I have to show them awake. Just
Mm.
weird fucking nitpicky rules like that.
Right.
Because there's still this like totally false correlation that I guess if you jerk off to it, some of these people think that you're going to then go do it in real life, which actually, like, there's data showing that it's the opposite. So,
Right. You're getting your
like,
release, so you're not going to do it.
yeah, exactly.
But well, I
Whatever. This is a country of reactionaries, and we were built on puritanical values. So,
right. Yeah, I was. Yeah, the whole hypno thing intrigued me because I have been hypnotized.
oh yeah, it worked.
It worked, and it was one of the best things ever. But she never did. She never did it again. It was really weird. It was so weird. Like she hypnotized me.
Hmm.
I was out,
Hmm.
and like I wake up, and the clock was like, she's squirting on my dick, and the clock's like an hour later, and she's like, oh, I've been fucking you for like an hour. I'm like, really? And I had no idea, and I thought it was great,
Wow,
but I don't know.
that's
But
a crazy story.
yeah, no, welcome to my life. But I was just like, and then I kept trying to get her to do it again. She never would. It was a weird relationship. We were both sort of sort of doms, and it just sort of clashed.
Oh,
So it just it didn't
yes,
work
that
out.
does not work well.
I mean the actual sex was great. I mean, it was just
Yeah,
like
sure.
she got so turned on by me. I mean, she would come when I would kiss her. Like that's how turned on she would
Beautiful.
get.
I wonder
Yeah,
how sensitive.
yeah. But just like when it came to like, okay, let's take it a step further. It was like, okay, that's when there's like two magnets come together and just never came
Yeah.
together. But
Yeah.
um, but yeah. So I mean, and also with the fetishes, I mean, it's like, it's make believe.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what people.
It's
But
pretend. I mean, that's kind of like what drew me to the whole like doing all this work in the first place. The first time I ever got hired by it was actually Anton Productions at the time.
okay.
And he's like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. You know, you're gonna pretend to get knocked out with this chloroform and you're gonna do this whole eye rolly thing. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then
Was
okay,
that your reaction? Really? You were like, oh,
yeah,
wow.
totally. And it's like now you're gonna pretend like you're getting hypnotized by this thing, and then your eyes are gonna go like this.
Yeah.
And so for me it was like I grew up in theater and acting, dancing, singing, all that stuff.
Mhm.
Really passionate about it. So
Right.
in this first job, it was like, here you go, you just get to act all day.
Right.
And sometimes you'll take your clothes off. And then at the end of the day, he hands me a check for $400. And I was just like, yeah, I think I like this job. um,
Well, I've seen hypno videos, and I find them hilarious. I think they're funny.
yeah, they are. Especially when
I
it's like, I mean, sometimes I've made customs recently where it's like, I get hypnotized and then, now I have to act like a monkey and now I have to act like a seal and
right.
a chicken and, I mean, or do a
To me,
cheerleader, act like a cheerleader and, it's comedy.
to me, it's funny and arousing at the same time, which is a great
Yeah,
combination.
it
So
is.
when did you make the switch from and everybody has both sides, but when did you make the switch from being a sub to being more of a dom?
Well, that's more with like sex scenes than fetish scenes.
Right.
So, I think it was just getting into the industry and like starting to do the work. And I was maybe not as confident in what I was doing. And
Mhm.
I don't know, I was just like, I don't know, you do the things to me. And I think what happened is I reached this point where, when I was being a little more subby, in a scene, I was like not satisfied with how the dom or the top was
Right.
managing me for lack of a better term.
Right.
And so I was like,
They weren't using proper English. I get it.
uh, and so I think I was just like, I think that I can do this better than what I'm
Mhm.
seeing being done and what's being done to me.
Right.
And then it was Belladonna who basically gave me my first shot, and
And you were right.
I think yeah, my work speaks for itself. It was
Yes.
a no warning 4 maybe, and I had two out of the 4 scenes I was topping. So, and they're classics, still good.
I'm sure they are. I'll have to. Yeah, I'm just going through your filmography now. I'll have to check those out. But yes, what is the weirdest fetish that that people have requested from you?
Well, that one on the sack was pretty interesting the other day.
Yeah, the sack is good.
Yeah. Oh, and then
Oh, you won't do
we,
you won't do farting. So I heard
no,
some that. Yeah,
not interested in that.
yeah.
Um,
So no scat,
yeah,
no piss, or you're into that?
no.
No.
Oh, I
Okay.
mean, I'll pee my pants like all day.
Okay.
I don't give a fuck about that, and I'm really good
Yeah.
at it too.
Wait.
Um,
You're really good at pissing your pants.
yes,
And
a lot of people struggle with it.
yeah,
Actually, yeah.
really.
hmm It's like, well, we're conditioned so much to not pee our pants. Like our whole
Right.
life, we're trying to not pee our pants. So
Hmm.
actually, releasing and letting go to pee your pants can be a struggle for a lot of people.
Really.
Yeah.
What was the weirdest fetish that you've gotten?
Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, the sack one was interesting. Another one we did the other day. We actually did 3 interesting ones yesterday. One of them is a guy who just really likes it's it's like the words I must pack my panties, and I think he's thinking about like packing your panties like in your butthole maybe or something. And so you're kind of like saying that, and it's like a force has taken over your mind and you're struggling against it, but you can't help it, and so I must pack my panties. I said that like several times. And then this other guy wanted it's a face sitting video, but the girl on top who is doing the face sitting is wearing these giant black sweatpants, which is interesting to me because like face sitting videos, they totally get it, like a nice ass on a
Yeah.
face, like,
Oh,
looks
sure.
great. But he wanted it covered with giant black sweatpants, like not just regular size, like they had to be 3 times bigger than what I would normally wear.
Right.
Another one is I did a video where I was in a this latex balloon basically, and it was like
Okay.
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory where she
Sure.
blows up like a giant blueberry.
Right.
And like I had to do like the little hand flapping on the side and everything like she does in the movie. And so that was interesting. And then one of the weirdest ones that we've gotten to was like rubber kitchen gloves, like for doing the dishes and cleaning and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
And taking these like, they're not Barbie dolls, they're Monster High dolls.
Right,
They're
right.
similar to Barbies, and putting them in a bucket of soapy water and like twisting their hair and pulling their hair and like punching them and slapping them with the gloves and like making the squeaky sound with the gloves.
Oh,
And that wasn't just like a 10-minute video, that was like a 30-minute video. So that
wow.
was definitely like that one I couldn't wrap my head around.
Well, that's very goth, but I hate the squeaking. I'm shivering in my chair just thinking about it. But to each their own. If that's what they like, that's fine.
That's
Yeah.
what the guy wanted. He's gonna pay
Apparently,
for it. Yeah, I'm gonna make it.
people love seeing you in loose clothing. Apparently, I don't know why that is. You look great in tight clothing from what I've seen. So I don't know, but everybody's into what they're into. So
Yeah.
now you're really a lot of, and especially lately, you've been doing a lot of trans stuff. You've been working with a lot of trans models. A lot of your recent nominations have been with your trans work. You got a new release, Training, alongside Ariel Demure for Transfix. What is that?
Oh, that was yeah, so that's a different company. That's not my company, but
Oh,
that's
okay. Well, we don't
adult
have to talk
time.
about that.
No, I mean I would love people to watch that scene. I hope they do. Ariel Demure was amazing to work with. Like, yeah, and she's so friendly. I've seen her at award shows since then and stuff, and she, you know, she remembers me and gives me a hug and says hi. Like,
Aw.
and she's so beautiful, and she's just really fun to be around on set, and just a great performance. So yeah, I
So,
think she's awesome.
did you train her? Or did she train you?
Oh, it was only called that because we were like working out in the beginning. That was like the intro. We were like doing workout
Oh,
stuff. So we were like training, and then the
the
next thing you know,
personal
we're
trainer.
fucking.
Okay.
So
And you've done scenes with past guest Venus Lux. Love her.
yes, that was my
Yes.
first trans scene for like a company.
Okay.
Yeah, that was at kink.com.
Okay, but you've been nominated for the Fleshbot Awards for a Girl Performer in 2021. AVN Best Trans Movie.
Yeah, that was for my movie, Sin's Trans Lesbian Lovers.
Right.
So I got yeah, AVN, that was really cool. And then also but the Trans Erotica Awards as well. I got a few nominations for that movie.
I see that. Yeah.
That was exciting for me.
Including best scene producer.
Yeah.
Best DVD, which I didn't know they made DVDs anymore, and best girl.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a physical DVD.
Yeah. And
yeah.
we just had the XBiz, and you were nominated for the Penny Barber and Sinn Sage 20-year reunion part 1.
Yeah.
You guys had a 20-year reunion?
That was like, the premise of the scene.
Oh, okay. It was a class reunion.
Yeah.
I take these things too literally. I keep reading these things and like extrapolating.
Just remember, porn is like, not real.
I thought this was somebody fucked like 20 years ago, and then it's like, oh, we're back. No, okay. Was this a new thing with the trans? Or you've always been with the trans girls, because it seems to be a new focus.
Yeah, so let's see. I think that with everything, we all like, hopefully we evolve and we learn more, and we meet people and we understand things better. I think that there was a time when even I didn't understand like that trans women were women. And I definitely like I had like a almost a fetishized like concept in my head, and it was like I knew I wanted to be with a trans, like I wanted to try having sex with a trans woman, but
Hmm.
it's because I would say something really stupid and harmful, like oh yeah, it's like the best of both worlds or whatever. And that was just really, that was not the right mindset to have or
Hmm.
to view the world through.
Hmm.
And so, and my partners, I think it would be a similar thing where, well, definitely like my previous partner is just like, fuck that guy. Like that's not even a question.
Yeah, don't even
Um,
worry about him.
but with my current partner, when we first got together, it was like 2011.
Hmm.
And I remember saying something about the, like, I'd like to try that sometime. And at the time, he was a totally different person too. We were
Hmm.
both were. And I think he was kind of still like, I don't know how I feel about that. And so it really took like knowing trans people, knowing trans women. And so the first scene, I had a conversation with my partner about it, like after we'd been together for a few years, and I met Chelsea Poe, and saw the work that she was doing, and just was really intrigued and by it, and also just like knowing her, it's just like, oh yeah, she's a woman, like duh, and so we had that conversation with each other, like I feel like trans women are women, and like I should, if I have sex with women on camera, like that I should also include trans women in that. And essentially he agreed, and so my first scene was with Chelsea Poe,
Okay.
and we did a like a sex tape style, like POV uh video. And yeah, especially she puts on a strap on to fuck me in that scene. And so just like I got more integrated into that world of queerness and transness, and
Hmm.
thanks to Courtney Trouble, who is my distributor of the movies that I make now. And they really, I don't know, it was just like a learning process for
Right.
me, and meeting more queer people, and meeting more trans people, and knowing them. And then it just became obvious. It just became so fucking obvious
Well,
that like trans
that's
women are women, and so why would I not work with trans women?
right.
So
That's the key. We had the KCT girl on earlier in the month, and that's what I was saying is that people that a lot of the hate and the misinformation
yeah,
is just people don't know trans people or
exactly.
trans
And
women.
as we
And
all
once
come
once
from we don't know everything right off the bat. I mean,
right.
we are all ignorant of things.
Right.
Ignorant is used a lot of times as just like a like a an insult. But
Right.
there are things we are ignorant about, and
Sure.
I was just ignorant to trans people because I didn't know any. And so I think if you are ignorant, and then also you're hearing all this stuff from the right and from conservatives and traditionalists and things like that, who are just demonizing and really dehumanizing trans people,
Right.
that can just like lead you further down the path of ignorance, and
Right.
it leads to bigotry, and it
Hmm.
leads to hate, which leads to the dark side. So
Right.
I think
And not the fun dark side that we the goth fun dark side that we troll in.
no,
The
Star Wars
real
dark
dark
side.
the real dark side. But once you meet and befriend people, then
Once you just meet people,
that hatred, that bigotry goes away.
yeah, I mean, you just see like, oh, this is a human being in front of me, and
Right.
that's what humanizing is, and that's like really what that's like a big part of like who I am and what I try to do is,
Hmm.
and not just trans people, but sex workers, and
Hmm.
fucking women, and like all kind of, I'm just like, look, we're human beings, and we all deserve respect, and we all deserve to just be like treated well, and like just be fucking kind to each other, and we deserve rights and things like that. So yeah, that's really important to me. So so really just, and then when I moved to Vegas, there's so many trans models, and we all needed content, and
Hmm.
I'm like, let's fucking make it. Let's make
Right.
content, so it's
Right. Well,
really about like access to that pool of people. And
that's
yeah,
great. Are you liking Vegas?
I have loved Vegas. I thought I would hate it. Ended up just having such an amazing community
Hmm.
here, and also really enjoy that there's always something cool and fun to do. And
Mhm.
also I can leave and go hiking and be in nature. It's
Mhm.
beautiful here when you're kind of in the suburbs and
Right.
you're surrounded by the mountain ranges and gorgeous sunsets.
So Summerlin, you're in Summerlin, or
Yes. Um,
okay,
but we are moving in about 2 weeks.
okay.
Bought a house in Illinois, so we're doing that.
What? You're going to Illinois?
Yep.
Oh, good for you. Well,
Yeah.
another change.
Yeah.
Because
I'm
Vegas is not Vegas is not that big a change from LA,
from Southern
but
California. Yeah.
yeah,
And I
but
grew up.
Illinois is a big change.
Yeah. Massive change. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excited.
Well, good luck to you, and good luck
Thank
to
you.
you with everything. I could talk to you all night. Obviously, I mean,
Yeah.
we barely scratched the surface,
Yeah.
and you haven't even pulled out your strap on yet. But geez, I know you got a lot of stuff you have to plug, and I'm going to give you
Oh, sure.
all the time you need to plug anything you want.
Great. Well, I would say to anyone who watched this or listened to this, if you like the things I say and what I talk about,
And
you
who
should
wouldn't?
definitely listen to my podcast. 2 episodes have been released already. I come out with them every other week, so twice a month,
Mhm.
and it's called Sage Advice with
Right,
Sinn Sage.
right.
And I talked to a sex worker. So far, it's been porn stars because it's my friends. But we are like, there's always going to be all types of sex workers, all types of people that I don't even want to call it an interview so much because it's
Mhm.
not the same types of questions that you would normally hear. It's more a conversation.
Yes.
Then I do like to talk about sexuality and how other people came to it and how they came to working in porn. So not just like how did you get into the industry, but like what led you down this path, basically. And
Right.
so we talk for about an hour about stuff like that, and then the last half hour or so is we take two advice questions from listeners and sort of give our advice with through the lens of a sex worker who probably has like a different sort of viewpoint, like maybe a little more enlightened
Mhm.
understanding of sexuality. And,
Mm,
the goal is to sort of like humanize and normalize sex workers and sex work and porn and stuff like that. So
right.
I really hope that you all will find that wherever you get your podcasts and check it out.
I listened to the Kai show and I really enjoyed it. And
Yay.
you're living up to the this part of your name, Sage. It's very you have but
Thank you so much.
yes, of course, there's the other sage that you wave around and make sure that
Yes.
the spirits aren't away. So there's a lot of sage.
Well, my
But I,
name being Sin Sage has all of those. It's the sage bush
mhm,
because I grew up in the desert and I was surrounded by sage bushes. I actually grew
mhm,
up on Sage Road,
mhm,
so that old trope. And then
right.
also it's, wisdom. So yeah, hopefully you will check out my podcast. And
Uh,
then my website is sin-sage.com. It's a free website. It's kind of like a portfolio type of thing where you can see
mhm,
the movies that I've made. Like I make the full length features and I sell them there. I also sell my custom videos there. So you can read an FAQ about my custom videos and how that
mhm.
works and submit if you're interested in getting one. It has all my socials on there. I mainly spend the most time on Twitter. So I'm at Sinn Sage on Twitter. Of course, I have an OnlyFans, onlyfans.com/SinnSage. And I have clip stores, which you can find again on sin-sage.com. I have clips for
Mhm.
sale and mini vids. I also have an adult time channel. So if you are subscribed there, I hope you will watch my movies there. I think one comes out every week. There's a fresh scene there. What else do I have,
You got so much
Dr.
going on. You have so much going on. I would assume
Feel
that
like there's
your
more.
website now is a lot more comprehensive than it was in 2003.
I never actually got that fucking website. I told you that guy was a piece of shit.
What a bastard. Fuck him. Anyway, Sin, you have been a delight. I have just enjoyed this conversation so much. And I am Goth Comedian on all social media. My website is darkmarkshow.com. It's not as nice as Sin's, but it's okay. And Sin, thank you so much for being with us today. I'm trying to think what custom video I'm going to have you make for me, what we're going to do. But
Awesome.
yeah, it sounds like you're up for anything. And
Pretty
every
much
strap on will be involved and some goth makeup. And who knows? Yeah, I don't
my
know.
favorite.
I don't know.
All my favorites.
So, and some really high boots from Hot Topic. We'll get a strap on and you
Mhm.
sodomize a Hot Topic worker. I think that's what we're gonna do. Anyway,
That sounds good to me.
While she's wearing
Yeah.
something very colorful. Everybody
Yes.
have a wonderfully creepy week. Bye.
Bye.